Today we are learning, with God's help, a mimer from the Rebbe Shlita, which is written in Maimorim Melukotim Beit on page Reish Pei Gimel. It talks about the month of Nisan. Now, the month of Nisan is called the first of the Jewish months of the year. Even though everybody knows that the first day of the Jewish year is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year, the beginning of the year. But the first of the months is 6 months later, in the month of Nisan. Now, why in the world would they do a thing like that? Why the Jews have 2 months? Two Rosh Hashanahs. One is the Rosh Hashanah of months, and one is the Rosh Hashanah of days. So this sort of addresses this in this mimer. Let's see. HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. Let's start from the beginning. B'siyata d'shmaya, with the help of God. Shabbos Parshas Vayakel Pekudi, Parshas HaChodesh. Parshas HaChodesh is read in the beginning, right in the beginning, before usually the beginning of the month of Nisan. This was said in Tuf Shin Mem Zayin, which is 1987. HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. This month for you is the beginning of the months. Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei Hashana. It is the beginning for you of the months of the year. Apparently a redundant sentence. It says this month is the first of the months, and it is the first for you of the months of the year. Now you have to remember these words. Who said these words? God. God said these words. As he said, the whole entire Torah was said by God, but these words were said by Moshe. By God. Said to Moshe. God showed Moshe, and he said, this month is going to be the first of the months of the year. And he was talking about the month of Nisan. Now, essentially, God said this before the Jews left Egypt. When did the Jews leave Egypt? Do you remember? What date was it when they left Egypt?
I don't know.
You weren't there, of course. On Pesach. They left Egypt on Pesach, which Pesach is in the middle of the month of Nisan.
All there at Sinai,
At Sinai, yes, we were there, but a lot of us forgot. In fact, the Jews 40 days later, they forgot, and they worshipped the golden calf.
Why did they do that?
We'll talk about that later. Let's not talk about it. They were under pressure.
They probably worshipped the women.
They were under pressure. Let's not go overboard. HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. This month is the beginning of months. Rishon hu lachem, the first of the months of the year. Medayak Admor. The Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, Rebbe Shalom Dovber, he implies from this, and it happens to be that his day that he passed away was on Beis Nisan. Hamamro Divra Maschal Zeh. When he said, the Shana Al Ayin Tuf Reish Ayin Aleph, he said Mashkatuv, which is what, 1911. Mashkatuv Rosh Chodashim. What says the Rosh Chodashim? Hari Omer says afterwards, Reishin leChodesh Hashanah. This is the first of the years of the year. Why do you have to have a Rosh Chodashim? If it already says, what does it say? It says that the month of Nisan is the first of the months of the year. If so, why does it have to say afterwards, this is the beginning of the months? Obviously, it's the first month of the year. This is the beginning of the months. Why does God seemingly repeat himself in the sentence? And the Rebbe Mevi B'Maimar Droshes Razal on the pasuk Achodesh Hazel Lochem Rosh Chodashim. This is Nisan. Ve'ein acher Nisan. This month is called Nisan, and there is not any other month which is called Nisan. In other words, when you come to make an extra day of the year, extra month, you have to do it for the month of Adar, not the month of Nisan. There's in Judaism, the years are determined according to the sun and the moon. By the Arabs, their year is determined only by the moon. When there's a new moon, there's a new month. So sometimes you can have the same month occur in the middle of the winter, some in the middle of the summer. By the Arabs, by America, by all these other European countries, as they go only according to the sun. So therefore you can have the beginning of the month of June. Sometimes the moon can be full. It has nothing to do with the moon. The beginning of the months have nothing to do with the moon. Sometimes you can have the beginning of the month on a day when there is no moon in the sky, and when there's a half moon. The Jews, though, the beginning of each month is according to the moon, but it is adjusted according to the sun. So the months always have to appear in the same season of the year.
But that's part of nature and how someone's nature. That's just part of someone's.
So therefore, why? Because the month of Nisan always has to be in the spring.
But how someone's nature.
Of course, he runs nature.
The Muslims also look at the moon. I mean,
The Muslims do not look at the sun.
No. They look at the moon as a reference point.
Right.
They do look at the moon.
Yes, they look at the moon as the reference point.
So they never have
No, they never have a leap year. So sometimes one of their holidays, whatever it is, can fall in this. The same holiday falls sometimes in the summer, sometimes in the winter, and sometimes in the mist. Right. Yes. So because of that, so in Judaism we have to have what we call a leap year, Shana Mu'beres, a leap year. When did they determine this leap year? It used to be determined in the Sanhedrin. It's written about also in Gomorrah, and also even in the Mishnayos in Rosh Hashanah. How they determine this month, how they determine the month. But in any case, they would determine the month. Which month would they make an extra month? They would add an extra month. Which month? The month of Adar, the month which is right before Nisan. Like this year, there's 2 Adars. They would never make Nisan an extra month. So it says, Ze Nisan ve'ein acher Nisan. This month is Nisan, and there's never another Nisan. That's not like the month of Adar, when there are 2 Adars. So they add. Now you have to realize, if they don't add another extra month, then things will come out to be not like it says in the Torah. In the Torah it says that the holiday of Pesach has to be b'chodesh ha'aviv, in the spring. It has to be. And if it's not in the chodesh ha'aviv, then it doesn't go according to what it says in the Torah. So there has to be this adjustment. Interestingly enough, the Jewish people have been making, their calendar goes according to the idea that the sun goes around the earth, that the earth is in the center. And they've been calculating, the Jews, since they got the Torah 3,300 years, they've been calculating the months exactly, precisely, according to this geocentric system, and it works out. It ends up, you have to make like these epicircles and subcircles within circles and things like that, but it works out.
It's difficult to conceptualize because we're trained to think at that age that it goes around the sun, but still it's just that much.
Right.
How sun runs at all. None of the theories are true.
That's not exactly true. That's not so.
How sun makes the theories.
This is not so. This is not so. God wants us to use our minds to the maximum to understand nature,
So how
and
sun makes the
one
theories.
second. You have to let us finish the sentence there. To understand nature and to manipulate nature as much as possible for the benefit of man. Therefore, if we didn't do that, there wouldn't be electricity today. There wouldn't be all.
That's Hashem runs it for the
Okay, good.
people.
Ukesheagia yom sharoi liot rosh chodesh Nisan. When there comes the day that it is fitting to be the month of Nisan, ein mavirim et hashana. We cannot say, we made a little bit of a miscalculation. We have to add another month. Let's add another month of Nisan. You can't do that. Once Rosh Chodesh Nisan comes, you can't make another Nisan. You can't say, well, things are a little bit out of kilter. We made a little mistake. Let's make a double Nisan. We can't make another Adar. Adar already finished. It comes Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Even though they may realize they made a mistake and that they should have made it extra, they can't make another Nisan. So that's why it says, Rishon hu lachem hachodesh. This month is the beginning of the months. There cannot be another one. You can't make another Nisan. The Rebbe Rashab continues and says, "In pasuk zeh lomdim we learn, gam she'ein mavirim et hachodesh." Also, we do not mavirim et hachodesh, mavirim et hashana l'tzorich, ve'ein mavirim et hachodesh l'tzorich. And there is a law that in certain cases, if they see that the seasons are off, and let's say for the benefits of the people that are coming for the holidays, and they see that the seasons are off, that the rain started late or whatever, so that they can actually make the chodesh, they can ma'avir at the chodesh for the necessity of the people. They can make an extra month. It says you can make an extra month, but you can't make an extra day just for the necessity of people. In other words, you can't make yom rosh chodesh Nisan ein mavirim gam es hashana. You cannot, when it comes to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, then it's too late. You cannot make any alterations in the year. Okay. That you can learn. But nevertheless, we still have a question, still remains. It seems that it's redundant a little bit over here. This sentence. Let us try to explain something according to Chassidut, which might be the only answer to our question. Lahavdin zeh makim maimer. To understand this. Why does it say in this parsha of the Chodesh immediately after they left Egypt? What does it say? Yes. Why in the Torah is this portion said immediately after they left Egypt? Let's look at and see, how does it say in the Torah? Chronologically, what happened? The Jews were told when they were still in Egypt to make the month holy. Rosh Chodesh, 15 days before they left Egypt. God gave them the commandment that a Chodesh hazeh lachem. This is the first commandment the Jewish people were given. Actually, all the Jewish people were given in the Torah, to the point where Rashi says in the beginning of the Torah that the Torah didn't have to begin anywhere except for here. We didn't really need the stories of the Torah, stories of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, how Moshe was born, etc. We don't need those stories. They don't contain any laws. And Rashi answers, we do need the stories. It's true they don't need any laws, don't contain any laws, but these stories give us power. They let us know what attitude we should have, how we can stand in difficult situations. Good. Nevertheless, it's still the question that Rashi and the Gemara asks is a good question. The whole point of the Torah is really to give us the commandments, to tell us what to do. And therefore, we didn't really have to start the Torah from all these stories. We could have, the Bereshit, we could have started from the first commandment given to all the Jewish people was to count the months, to make Nisan the first of the months. That's the first commandment given to all the Jewish people.
Is that commandment not to lie?
The commandment is to make the months, to count the calendar, which month is the first month, to decide according to the moon. But that's the commandment. Nowadays we don't do it anymore. There is no.
That's because the calendar changed thanks to common era scheduling.
Right now we don't do it anymore. Nowadays the calendar was set so that it doesn't depend on the Sanhedrin anymore. Doesn't depend on the Sanhedrin, but it used to depend on the Sanhedrin, on the big court that was in. Please let me finish. In the Yerushalayim, and there used to come witnesses. Anyone in Israel who saw the moon on the first day of the month would come and run to the temple, to the grand court that was in the temple, and there they would give testimony, and the court would judge to see if the testimony was really correct or not. They would interrogate the witnesses, and then they would determine which month it is. That's the first commandment actually given in the Torah.
But that doesn't make sense. You're not allowed to run to a government office. If you do, you get grabbed and thrown out. How are you supposed to do that? You can't run unless it's open to the public.
It's open to the public. It was open to the public. All witnesses came. All witnesses. Anyone who saw the moon, they would come. Even on Shabbat, they were allowed to drive their donkeys, whatever it was, and their wagons. They could come. It was open. It was open to the public. Open to the public. Anybody wants to come.
Government offices where if you go in,
this is not the government office, and it wasn't back then. This was they were waiting for people to come to testify. Okay, let's go. We have to Tzorich Lahavin Mipenei Ma Nemro Parshas HaChodesh Davka Miyad Acher Yetziat Mitzrayim. Why is it though in the Torah that this commandment appears in Parshat Bo after the Jews left Egypt? It says that the Jews left Egypt, and then God said to Moshe, this month is for the first of the months. Why does it appear there? Why does it appear in the Torah then? Chronologically, it was not said then. Chronologically, it was said 2 weeks before the Jews left Egypt. But in the Torah, it appears after the Jews leaving Egypt. In the third portion, in the third chapter of the book of Exodus. Movorso explains the Parshas HaChodesh is Iker Techilas HaTorah, because this chapter talking about the beginning of the month, sanctifying the month of Nisan as the first month. This is the main beginning of the Torah, like Rashi says, the Lo Yetzorich Latchilat Torah. The Torah did not need to begin. Elam Yachodesh Azelachem. The Torah did not really have to begin with all the stories. It could have begun with the first commandment given to the Jewish people, which is sanctifying the months. Now what it says in Bereshis, who? Mishum koach masav higi lamo. God gave power to his people. Hainu. De beha parshas shelivnei parshas hachodesh. In all of the stories which are told in the Torah, the story of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, the Jews going down into Egypt, Moshe being born. These are talking about worldly things. Medubar begiluyim sheba'olamot. And the revelations which are in the worlds, talking about worldly things. How Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, etc., Moshe, Yosef, how they dealt with worldly problems, how they reacted. But from this chapter which talks about sanctifying the moon, there's a little bit in the third chapter of the book of Exodus, after it tells the story about how the Jews are leaving Egypt. From then on, matchil be'inyan hagiluyim, the Torah, it starts the idea of the Torah, of God giving the Jews commandments for all time. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that was, if you want to call it, one-time things. Avram had to take his son and sacrifice him. We have no commandment to sacrifice our sons. Yaakov fought against an angel. That was a one-time thing. Spiritually, physically, spiritually, we do have to do those things. Yes, spiritually, everything that's in the Torah is inside of us, and it's happening right now, everything. But that's in a spiritual way. But physically, the physical commandments that were given after this commandment of sanctifying the month, they exist today. Some of them exist potentially until the temple will be built, etc. But never, that's side reasons. The commandments that were given to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are not done today. For instance, the commandment of Bris Milah, we don't do it because Abraham did it. We do it because it's a commandment. In Parshas, Tazria, it's a commandment to make a circumcision, etc. Shalamayla mi'agiluyim the olamos, that these, all of the commandments were given to the Jewish people after this first commandment that was given to all of them, which is sanctifying the month. Zechariah, what was the first commandment given to the Jewish people? All of them? Sanctify. That's right. And from then on, all the commandments were bringing above nature into nature.
That's because Hashem gave us 10 commandments. Honor by father and mother, sanctify all the months.
Ubichdei, in order. Ubichdei, and in order. Sheyochol liyot, that there can be Gilui, a revelation of the Torah. Hutzrich liyot techila, there has to be, first of all of these preparations of Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Galus, the exile in Egypt, Yetzias Mitzrayim, going out of Egypt. V'zeu, and that is miyad, immediately after they went out of Egypt, hachana, which all this was a preparation for giving of the Torah. Then it says the parsha of the month, Hatchalat Giluyim, the Torah. That's when the Torah was revealed. HaChodesh Zelachem. Bichdei leva'er, to explain Gadol Iloi Shel Giluyim, the Torah, the great highness of the revelations of the Torah. Mevo'er, it explains Techila, first of all, the Iluyim, the highness of the revelations in the world. Okay, so what's the Rebbe saying? Before the Torah was given, everything, the world was a world, and certain people understood there was higher than the world, that there was a creator of the world. Those were the first Jews. But the world was physical, and God was spiritual. And there were certain people that realized that God was above the spiritual, that God created the spiritual and wanted the spiritual to be in the physical. Those was Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They did not live their lives according to normal physical values like everybody else, and not even according to spiritual values. They did not live their life in order to leave this world and go into the next world. The rewards that they would get. That was not their motivation. Their motivation was to serve the creator of the heavens and the earth. Creator of the spiritual and the physical. That was their goal. But these were unique people. When God gave the Torah to the Jews, every Jew got this revelation. Every Jew. Every Jew was aware that there's a creator of the spiritual and the physical, and he wants us to do in the physical world what he wants. That's what they got. Okay, but before this, there wasn't such a thing. Before this, there was the creation of the world. God created the world, and that's what there was. There was a world, and there was a world, and there were certain individuals that had this intuition, this inspiration, that there's a creator of the world.
Hashem.
Right. And before that, there were people who were spiritual people. There was Mesushelach, and there was Noach. There was other people that were very, very spiritual. And these people understood, and they even felt, that you can't live your life just for physical things. You have to live it also for something above that. But it wasn't really in the world. Now, also, these people were not Jews. They weren't like Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, that they really felt God and that they really wanted to bring it into the world. That was the difference why Noach was not the first Jew. So instead, what do we have? That before God started to give the first commandments, before he took the Jews out of Egypt and gave them commandments, as the heavens were heavens and the earth was the earth. The spiritual and the physical were separated one from the other. And when God gave the commandments, suddenly they started realizing that there's a commander, a creator of the heavens and the earth, and he's creating them for a purpose. So let's understand, first of all, the creation of the world. Now, the creation of the world is not was done by God himself. That's what the Torah tells us. God personally, the same God who gave the Torah, the same God who creates us right now, the same God who gave the commandments, took the Jews out of Egypt. There's only one God. God created the heavens and the earth. And he created it from his essence. The world is very, very important to God. But nevertheless, there's a higher aspect of God's essence that was revealed when he gave the Torah. What does this mean? Who knows? Right? Very, very difficult to understand. I mean, God created the world. The world is not, according to Judaism, the world is not a mirage, just a tremendous lie that we have. It says it's the Alma Dishikra, that this world is very, very, open to be misinterpreted. The world is...
Hashem did that.
That's right. Hashem purposely made the world in such a way that the world is very deceiving and very confusing.
Someone told me once the world is a deceiving place. Don't worry.
But that does not mean that the world is not true. Here we have Torah and mitzvahs. Only here are Torah and commandments. And eventually here is going to be revealed the ultimate truth. Here is going to be the third temple. Here there's going to be the raising of the dead. This physical world potentially is really the highest. It's higher than all the upper worlds. We totally don't see this now, but we will see it. Nevertheless, this world is very, very high, very deep.
That's why if you do mitzvahs, you go to Gan Eden. If you do sins, you go to Gehenna.
Now we're going to talk about making this world into heaven.
How do you do that?
Oh, that's the question we have to ask. In order to understand how that you do through the Torah, in order to understand the greatness of the Torah, first we have to understand the greatness of the world. How amazing this world, physical world is. Without the Torah, God forbid. Without the Torah. The sunset, the trees, the skies. What about all the angels? Angels. How amazingly deep and complicated the world is. And as Zechariah said, at least 10 times in this class, God creates the world. You can go back and see the video. God is creating the world every single instant. So the world is very important to God. He's creating all the non-Jews. He's creating all the animals. He's creating all the fish, all the protozoas. Incredible. Think of your own body if you want to. If you think of your own body too much, you start getting sick. What?
Just think of your whole life. Then you can see how much God creates you.
They say, like the professor that he explained to his class how to walk. What a complicated system it is for a person to have an urge in his brain to move his foot, and how it comes down from the mind. It comes into the nervous system, and from the nervous system goes down to the spine, and that coordinates with the muscles, with the bones. And finally, when if he finished speaking, explaining, he couldn't walk. He tripped over his own feet and fell on this because it was so complicated. The process of walking, to think about it, it made him stumble and confused. Speaking, seeing.
Let me tell you a story.
One second, let me just finish this and then we'll tell the story, okay?
Okay.
In order to understand the greatness of the Torah, Miva'er, we must explain first, and this is also what the Rebbe Rashab did. He explained first the Ilui of the Giluyim Sheba Olamos. What is the world? The Gilui Asher Ba'olamos that the revelations that are in the world, the power that creates the world, hu lamayla mi'olamos, is above the actual worlds. As we're going to talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.
Rabbi Bolton.
Yes.